Hello and welcome to DETV News. I'm Kaylynn Pride. Thanks for being with us. We begin with a collision between a fire truck that was responding to an accident and a tractor trailer on 295. The Minquadale Fire Company responded to a single vehicle accident with one reported patient on I-295 southbound. Rescue Engine 22 responded but was soon struck by a tractor trailer. 3 firefighters were in the truck during the collision. The first was able to safely extract himself while the remaining 2 were removed. All 3 firefighters were taken to Christiana Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. DETV political correspondent Kerwin Gaines is here to give us an update on what's happening in our country with the National Minute.
This week on the National Minute, we'll be discussing inflation, the war in Ukraine, and the mass shooting in New York. Hi, I'm Kerwin Gaines, and as pandemic restrictions lift, people are hoping to see inflation decrease from its historic highs. Just last month, the United States inflation reached its highest it's ever been since 1981 at 8.5%, demonstrating a high cost of living. These consumer prices have caused some to double down and pressuring the Federal Reserve to take action and raise interest rates. The Federal Labor Data Statistics have shown since February, inflation rose 1.2%, the largest increase since 2005. While many components shifted the number upwards, the cost of gasoline and food were among key contributors. Americans have been experiencing the brunt of this by paying more for meat and vegetables and dairy products on trips to the grocery store. As prices continue to rise, President Joe Biden is under scrutiny for failing to stop prices from going even higher. Some economists have already made predictions that this inflation could cause a decrease in consumer spending and send the United States into a recession. Overall, these rising costs and feelings about the president will put Democrats in a strain during this year's midterm elections. The president is also under the watchful eye of the nation in his efforts to aid Ukraine and defuse the war with Russia. Earlier this week, he spoke to Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky and mentioned that he'll be authorizing $800 million more in weapons and ammunition security assistance. The president compared the war in Ukraine to genocide. World leaders reacted with both vows of support and contempt. Alongside President Biden, the European Council has agreed to send an additional €500, which is around $544 million in support of Ukrainian forces. French President Emmanuel Macron noted that leaders should be very cautious in labeling the situation as genocide, as to avoid escalating tensions. He did say, however, so far it has been established that war crimes were committed by the Russian army, and it is now necessary to find those responsible and bring them to justice. Unfortunately, as violence grows in the Ukraine, it also continues on the home front. Tuesday morning, inside a subway car at the 36th Street station in Brooklyn, New York, a gunman opened fire on innocent commuters. After spraying 33 bullets into passerbys, only 10 passengers were wounded. But overall, more than a dozen people sustained injuries as the gunman also detonated 2 devices prior to shooting. Thankfully, no one died. 62-year-old Frank James, the gunman, was charged with committing a terrorist act on a mass transit system, which is a federal crime. The details of his attack soon came in the picture. James was riding the N train when he placed on a gas mask. He then dropped 2 devices, filling the car with smoke, and began shooting for reasons unknown. The 30-round capacity magazine he used are illegal in the state of New York. And by the time the gun jammed, he had already emptied 1 full magazine, with 57 bullets remaining in the second. Police report that James bought the guns illegally in 2011 in Columbus, Ohio. Victims were treated for smoke inhalation from those devices, which may have also saved their lives. After investigating the scene, Detective D. Giacomo stated James ignited those canisters that made it even difficult for him to see. Investigators also found that the day before the shooting, James posted a video saying he wanted to watch people die in front of him. Fortunately, his wish did not come true, and his efforts failed. For DETV News, this is Kerwin Gaines.
Well, it's the beginning of Earth Week, and the Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control kicked it off by planting trees along the Brandywine River with jobs for Delaware graduates, youth volunteers as part of Delaware's Tree for Every Delawarean initiative. The initiative is a partnership that includes the Urban and Community Forestry Programs and the Department of Agriculture's Delaware Forest Service and others. Well, instead of holding an Easter egg hunt, Barbers in Wilmington wanted to do something extra special for the community. The founders of Black visionary designer Barber Salon gave away shoes and sneakers this past Easter out to local residents and businesses for new or slightly used shoes and sneakers, and the response was overwhelming. Since 2009, over 5,000 pairs of shoes have been donated to this endeavor.
Without the community, it couldn't be done. It's our 14th time doing it. We're just here for the community, want to give back to those less fortunate.
And exciting news for the city of Wilmington, as the Grand Prix has returned after a 2-year absence due to the pandemic. The Grand Prix is one of the premier bike races in the U.S. and will return on May 13th through the 15th. Sponsored by Event Allies, JPMorgan Chase, and Bank of America, this will be the 14th edition for the 13th year and will be part of the USA's Cycling National Race Calendar.
The Grand Prix brings business to our city, it showcases our community, and it celebrates the inclusiveness and spirit of bicycling. But don't take my word for it. I encourage you to come down and see for yourself.
Delaware State University has announced its celebrity commencement speakers for the class of 2022. Former Atlanta mayor and CNN commentator Keisha Lance Bottoms will be the undergraduate speaker on May 14th at Alumni Stadium. And for the graduate students, Executive Director of the NFL Players Association, Demarius Fitzgerald Smith, will be the speaker on May 12th. University President Dr. Tony Allen says, "It's a special moment for our students, a moment full of pride and promise, and I am particularly delighted to welcome both Mayor Bottoms and Mr. Fitzgerald Smith to join us. Their life experiences speak to their characters as both leaders and servers of the greater good." Attorney Keisha Lance Bottoms served as the 60th mayor of Atlanta, Georgia from 2018 to 2022, and only the second woman to hold the city's highest office. Demarius Fitzgerald Smith was reappointed to his 5th term as executive director of the NFL Players Association and successfully negotiated a deal with the NFL that provided players with their guaranteed highest share of NFL revenue in the history. Well, that's all for DETV News. I'm Kaylynn Pride, and I'll see you next time.